Hi, today I will show you how we use Fibery in our company. Here is a list of processes that we will go through. In some processes we will dig deeper and some will just see things on the surface. Fibery is a 5-year-old startup with 25 people, and we use Fibery for almost anything. Let's start from strategy. I should say that strategy planning is not our best thing to show, but we have something. So strategy in Fibery, we define strategic themes. As you see, there are not so many of them, and some themes are done, some are in progress. Let's say currently we are focusing on 2 themes, like have 10 sales via our partners network and find market fit in product companies. This strategic theme has some description. Let's say if you open it, let's say it has some description and some links to features. So here is a set of features that we think related to this theme. Link of insights, link of marketing tasks, and a list of use cases that we want to implement to have it. So if you review the relations, let's check it. So strategic theme has a list of use cases, list of tasks, insights, and features, and so on. We usually just define a theme, write some documents to explain what should be done, how we see the themes like unfolding, and so on. We decide about features or use cases or other things and start some activities here. Let's say 10 sales via partners. We just have a bunch of tasks related to this initiative, and this is it. So our strategy lives mostly in documents linked to some theme. And here is how we define it. To execute strategy, you have to do real work, and that's where the real substance is. So let's mark this as a checkbox. Let's go to product management. It's more maybe interesting use case of Fibery. And we have 3 main things in this space: product areas, features, and use cases in some other space. So we split our product Fibery into product areas. Here is a list of product areas like views, automations, notifications. It's some like large area inside the product. They can be nested. And then we have features that can be linked to product areas. So again, if we check relations for product area, again, it's like an aggregator of all important data. Let's say you want to improve notifications, or you want to implement like sharing views to outside world, and you just collect everything like feedback notes from your customers, insights, users like guide articles, other features, dev tasks, bugs. So you just can link anything to your product area to have some aggregated entity for this kind of information. Every product area has an owner in Fibery. So here is a list of product areas. They can be nested, let's say, so you can expand them. And you see that, let's say, Anton is responsible for blogs, and I'm responsible for expert data, let's say. Things like that. So if we have a question from our lead or from developers, we understand to what product area this question relates and whom we should ask. So basically we split our products to product areas to simplify like management. And inside the product area we can have like all the relevant things. Let's say this is a very heavy product area with many documents. And let's try to open some document. Again, you see some brainstorming ideas. So we use comments to like discuss things in async mode. So we are a remote company. So we use documents and comments a lot to invent and have some discussions around some problems and solutions. And when we are ready to implement it, we have a list of features. Let's say, let's check a backlog, let's say. So here is a backlog for blocks product area. There are many features that we want to implement, but some of them in progress, but we are mostly focusing on next features here. So it's kind of prioritized backlog. And we also can see in the board view what features we are ready to implement and what come next, and the icebox with many features here. Product areas simplify product representation. So if you have many product owners, you can assign few of them to some product areas, and that is how you can structure your teams even or work. Another structure are use cases. Let's say for product market fit for product companies, we have a set of use cases, like create content-rich specifications, like prioritize work based on feedback. These are use cases, like a set of features that close a real use case or jobs to be done, maybe for some like roles or for some niche. Let's say create context-aware specifications, some problems that we define, how to improve feature specification creation. So we describe the problem, describe solution, and we link all relevant features here. So we can easily understand what we should implement to close this use case. And again, then we can create a landing page for this use case, explain it better in videos, in user guides, and so on. So everything can be around this use case. So we just recently started to use use cases, but we already find them useful. It just frames you how you think about value of your product. You just don't implement just features, you understand how these features combine to some useful use cases and flows. We use use cases to aggregate features as well. Still, in a nutshell, it all features, and we use some views to plan them and to track implementation. Let's say we use timeline view to have some to represent our current state. Again, as you see, it mostly like current features, and we are not planning in advance features here. But all current features can be tracked here in a nice way, so we can understand when we release something that's already started. Okay, and they are grouped by areas. Let's say we are focused on navigation now, many features in navigation product area. We are focused on blocks, and we are focusing, let's say, on some sharing. Quite many features here as well. And we use this board for our weekly status meetings, so we can understand what's going on, who will be available this week for some new features, and so on. That's another thing. And we definitely can see all features by state. It's just a Kanban board of our features. Again, we can understand what's tested, what is in testing, and so on. We have a single, I'd say, development team, and every feature has 1-2 developers assigned and a QA, and we just use very simple Kanban process to run these features. It's ready for dev when it has a specification. Then we kickstart it with the whole team, developers, QA, and designers who will participate. Then it's implemented and go to testing. When it's in testing, we usually find a lot of bugs, fix them, and then when all important bugs are fixed, we move this feature to tested, and it's ready for the release. How we release features? We basically have a changelog space right in Fibery. Here is it. And we can create, let me show it to you. We can create new releases and assign some features or bugs to a release and make it public. So basically this is what our customers can see, so they can navigate it and see it. What's the flow? When we are ready to make a release, I just create a new release, link all bugs to it, generate some text. Let's say this text can be generated automatically. We have a button generate backlist here. And we have a set of features that we want to include into the release. And for these features, the feature owner write a description in a public release field. So what should be described in a changelog. And I just copy paste these descriptions and make this changelog, release things for our changelog. Okay, and let's get back to our product management. So I showed how we run features, how we run use cases, what we have in our product areas, and that's basically it. Also, we have a public roadmap. We just recently created it. It's a separate space again that's shared to the public. So let me show you how it looks. So if you navigate to public part of Fibery, there are few spaces that are visible to all people. Let's say this is our public roadmap. By the way, this is our changelog. It's how external people see it. Okay, and we have a roadmap. How we manage it. As you see, we have many features, and most likely you don't want to have all the features in your public roadmap. And we have a special field like public roadmap checkbox. So if you click it, it creates a new entity in the product roadmap application, like a public roadmap application. It consists of roadmap items. So new roadmap item is created and linked to a feature. Roadmap item is what is visible to external people, while feature is your internal representation, and it's not visible to external people. Okay, and this feature appeared as a roadmap item in this board, and this board is shared to the world. So you can have this link in your website, and people can navigate to it and understand what's going on and so on. So far as they can't provide you feedback, at comments and so on, we definitely want to add this possibility as well, since we want feedback from our customers and potential customers. But that's how we manage it right now. All right, let's mark this checkbox as well. Feedback management and prioritization. This is one of the most interesting part. We collect feedback from many channels, like we have intercom as a chat, we have discourse forum, we have conversations with our customers, and we prioritize our features based on feedback. So let's start from feedback aggregation. So we use intercom, we use discourse, and we just aggregate all feedback here. And let's say you can track all incoming requests from intercom, and you can just link some text to some real feature. Let's say we can link this to some feature. Imagine it was requested, this feature. And when we navigate to this feature, we can see that back reference added here. It takes some time. Here is it. Okay, and we just accumulate points, like how many times this feature was mentioned, or this product area, and so on. So that's how we do it. And in a nutshell, then we have a list of most requested, let's say, features, product areas, insights, as a sorted list. Let's say view sharing was requested quite a lot recently, like more than 70 times, and it's quite important, and customized units per database and so on. So we kind of can understand what problems are more important, and based on our capacity, we can move them into implementation or pay more attention to them. Again, it's just a mix of all things, or we can just focus on some features and see what features are more important, and understand again what to do. we aggregate this feedback from intercom, from discourse, and from conversations. Let's say we log all our conversations. Here is a list of all the conversations we had recently. And let's say if you open some conversation, again, you can just link it to some insight or feature. And we use all this feedback as well to make our decisions about what should be implemented or not. Most companies just rely on gut feelings or votes, but votes are very misleading. Here we have a real request with words, and if you open some product area, it will contain a lot of real feedback from real users. So like what these people really requested, and these are not just votes like +1. This feedback is really cool to have, to understand their priorities. So we use this extensively. Again, it's just a basic integration. So we fetch everything from intercom, we fetch everything from discourse in a similar way. So all conversations in discourse are here. And again, if you think that something is related to some feature, to some bug, you can navigate here and create new bug or link to some existing feature and so on. So we just aggregate all feedback in Fibery. Okay, and it helps us make decisions, basically. That's the most important reason. What is missing here? This feedback is from all sources. Imagine, let me open you some list. Okay, so we don't really know who exactly requesting that. So maybe these are customers that use Fibery for like very small business, or maybe even individual users, or maybe product companies, and we are focused on product companies right now. But we don't really know, we can't really segment this feedback. What we want to have is say 30 people from product companies requested that. But unfortunately, it can't be done. We can only see aggregated numbers without segmentation. So this is the next thing for us, to implement this segmentation in Fibery, to make it possible to calculate references for some segment. So you link feedback to some, let's say, account. You understand that this account is a product company, and you can like filter your rank here by this segment. It can be done. It's not so easy, but will unfold new possibilities for us. We can spot like, okay, design agencies, let's say, ask for mobile version more. And if we decide strategically to move into this niche, like digital agencies and so on, maybe we should focus on mobile, something like that. All right, let's move forward. We use Fibery as a CRM. We all accounts that registered in Fibery, in our website, we add them into our CRM space. Here is it. And we track all our accounts and all our partners. Let's say, definitely we can slice the data, like here is the list of all our paid accounts. And we know the MRR, the country, the segments of this account, when it was registered and so on. And you can have all this information here, or you can see a lost account, like it was paid account, but eventually it was lost. And we can check again LTV of this account, so how much money we earned before they churned, something like that. Again, I will not show you exact accounts since this data is kind of private. But again, we aggregate, collect all this data, and we link many information to accounts and to workspace, like activity patterns, how many days they use Fibery, how many users. It's like all obfuscated, but we have some general understanding about account activity, what they asked. All intercom discussions, all conversations are linked to these accounts. So we have the complete picture of an account in Fibery. One missing thing is email integration. So let's say I can send emails using Fibery, like I have this send email action, but it just doesn't really work as a complete communication solution. So you can't really write and receive emails from Fibery so far. and it makes CRM like not great. It works for us, but for very heavy communication cases where you exchange many emails, most likely it will be problematic to use Fibery this way. But it works for us, and for many startups, I believe it will work as well. And we also have a partners list here. So all our partners that we have also added into our CRM, and we understand when we talked with the partner, what was in the conversation, and so on. So again, we use Fibery as a CRM here as well. And you can create some reports, let's say, how many paid accounts we got every month, what was average MRR, sales cycle, and so on. And you can even track some activity patterns. So maybe what channels are more efficient, like paid channels or like direct channels about activation and so on. So you can create reports based on your accounts in CRM. And if you have segments, you can understand in one segments we have more customers, something like that. So it can be done here as well. Okay, and then we track all the payments. Like we have integration with Braintree, so we just accumulate all transactions here. These are our real Braintree like subscriptions, and I don't show you exact like data, but again, we can create a report. Let's say what MRR from Braintree we have, what is the monthly income of all the transactions from Braintree. So again, we have this data and we link these transactions to our accounts. So I understand MRR of every account and so on. Not all accounts pay us using credit card. Some demand invoices, custom invoices, and for that we have account and application that we use. Again, we just generate invoices, like link them to workspaces, send them, and we can control invoices from here, like what invoices will expire soon and we should resend them, who did not pay yet, and things like that. And definitely we can we also track all our bank transactions here, and as a result we can create report like expenses by months, so we understand our burn rate on average. Or we can create a report that shows us our cash flow, or let's say our payroll. So this is all can be done right here, so we don't have any real accounting application beside Fibery, so we use it as accounting as well. All right, so that's maybe it about CRM. We definitely use Fibery for other processes, like let's say marketing teams. We have a special marketing space here. It's quite simple, so it contains of mainly marketing areas and tasks. So we definitely use some other stuff, but mostly we split all the work by marketing areas like Fibery website, getting started, CPC, and so on, and create tasks in these areas. The main board that we use is this. So it just contains all marketing areas that we are focusing on right now and all tasks. So you can quickly see what is going on, like let's say customer generated content, what we are doing right now, and list of tasks, and so on. And again, you can see a backlog. So every week we have a meeting where we discuss what we are going to do next week, and plan the work, like assign tasks to people to have a common understanding what we should do next. So it's very basic, stuff. The only thing is that this task can be linked to strategic themes or to use cases, I'd say. So it can be nice to connect this, to understand what in products we are doing, to market this here. And we definitely have many documents about marketing, like let's say this is our marketing model that we brainstormed to understand what channels we should focus on, what segments we should focus on, to understand the general situation in the market. It's a very hard, thing to have in your mind. So you have to use some documents, whiteboards to just, connect all the dots together. So we use documents to write some summaries, reviews, and so on. So we use it very actively. And definitely there are some kind of reports like CPC, like active accounts, SQL, and so on. I'm not going to dig into it further so far. Okay. We also use Fibery for software development. Again, when you nail all your features, they should be implemented. And SoftDev app, to be honest, quite simplistic. So we just have bugs and dev tasks here. So from development point of view, you're working on features. So you have a feature that you should implement. If you have very technical things, you create a dev task, or obviously a bug if you want to fix something. And this is the main board that we use for developers. So they just track all the features and bugs on this board. So we know what's in progress, what's implemented, what's in testing, what is tested and ready for release. This is a column. Today most likely we'll have a release, and all the things will be included into our changelog. And dev tasks board just focuses on very technical things. Initially we used to have user stories, but we abandoned user stories since these things are very technical, and these are not user stories really. These are very technical things like, okay, set up some server somewhere or implement this algorithm. So sometimes you link this dev task to features. So if you have this very targeted technical work piece, you just create a dev task and link it to features. Let's say for delete cascade for blocks feature, you have 2 dev tasks linked. And so we use this. And it works quite well. And definitely we have Wiki here. Let's say many documents are there, very technical. So let's say we have a collab doc, and we have a couple of documents that described how collab doc handles connection, general schema of its implementation, so how it works, how we can scale it in the future if we need to, things like that. Again, there are many areas with many docs. It's just a single space of all developers' documentation and work right here in Fibery. And let's mark this checkbox as well. Yeah, I should say here that Fibery just replaces many tools. Like imagine we don't use Jira, we don't use Trello, we don't use Miro as a whiteboard, we don't use Google Doc, we don't use an external CRM or any like employees tracking application. We just use Fibery for almost all processes. And when everything is connected and with a single search, it just makes your life so much easier. Let's go to few last spaces that I wanted to show you. Employee vacation tracking. So it's a very basic application for employees tracking, just a whole list of employees, when they joined, their status, their country. It's kind of easy, but more tricky thing is vacation tracking. Surprisingly, this is a very hard problem, since imagine when you have a month's vacation, there are many like weekends, maybe public holidays, and these days should not be counted as day offs, so you should subtract them somehow. And we solved this problem. Previously it was a manual process. We had a person that spent maybe half a day every month, or maybe a day every month, to just track this manually. This person went to vacation this day and it was a holiday, so we will not count it, and so on. Now it's just all automated. It's kind of tricky solution. We track all public holidays here for all countries where our employees work. We track people just at vacations, use some timeline view, let's say. This view just shows all our current and maybe future vacations, something like that. And we can automatically calculate remaining day offs. So in our company, every person has 20 day offs every year. And when new day offs are added here in Fibery, or half day off, let's say, we can calculate the remaining. And here is a report that shows how many days every person has this year, current year. Let's say has 41 day off. Again, people can change countries, and it should be taken into consideration as well. So our solution just has it as well. Again, surprisingly, it's a very hard problem to solve, and there are not so many ready-to-use solutions. So we implemented it based on Fibery and want to release it as a separate solution, like your vacations, day offs tracking in Fibery. I believe in the near future we'll do it. Okay. And the last thing, it's very experimental, but I want to give you some perspective. We think that knowledge tracking, like domain knowledge tracking of your company, of your domain, is very important. And to be honest, almost any company doing it really poorly, yes, you have some documents, you have some brainstorming sessions and so on, but mostly this information just live in personal notes. Imagine I'm a head of product development of some company. I read many books, I review competitors and so on, and mostly I write personal notes, and I don't share these notes with the company. We want to solve this problem in Fibery eventually, and we want to collect this kind of knowledge that the person is ready to share with the company, and it should be very easy to share, and integrate this domain knowledge, personal domain knowledge, into your company knowledge base. So far we're experimenting with a separate space, like for notes. It's a very basic space with just notes, and you can create like notes and link it to some, let's say, product area, or to some feature, or to some insight, and so on. It's just any idea, any generic thing that was curious to you, and you think it can be like link it to some part of your product in future. So you can just add a note and link it to, let's say, some area of your product area, most likely, or to an insight, or to some feature, and so on. Again, it should be much better in future. We're just trying to experiment with this approach, since I believe it's a missing process in many companies, how you can just collect domain-specific knowledge and link it to your strategy, marketing activities, features, and so on. And let me finally scare you a little bit. So let me show you our workspace map. Here is it. These are all spaces that we have in Fibery, and you just see how they're connected, and you see that the workspace in CRM is a really center of gravity. And the same thing you can say about product area or a feature. So product management is really important here. And all other apps mostly live on top of that, Again, it's a result of 3 years usage of Fibery in a company. So you can imagine that it's just constant evolution of the processes. We have few processes that we are not really set yet, or people onboarding, or customer discovery, or competitors analysis, and so on. We have them, let's say we have a competitors analysis app, and we have a list of all our competitors, like Notion, let's say, and we mention Notion, let's say, when we have feedback from customers, something like that. But it's hard to say that it's a really cool competitor tracking application. It's useful to some degree, but I didn't show it to you since it's not really complete. So again, in a nutshell, Fibery replaces 5-6 tools for us in our company. And the only other important tool we use is Slack. Eventually, we want to get rid of Slack and implement chat right in Fibery, since we see so many cool patterns where you just can connect your conversations to your work, to your tasks, and so on. And with Slack as a separate app, it's really hard to do. You have to have this tight space without any separations to really feel it. And that's the problem of Fibery, is it's really hard to show its value. You have this value only when you start to have many processes, connect them together, and then you enjoy like universal search, where you can find anything in a single place. Like connections, when you can just navigate and explore things, explore knowledge right inside Fibery, and have connected your product to marketing, to software development, and so on. Accounts to feedback, accounts to transactions, again, all kind of stuff. But it shines only when you start to use it this way. For 1-2 processes, Fibery is no better than many other tools that you have, let's say Asana or Trello. It only shines when you really connect things together. And that's the main like benefit what you have when you implement Fibery in your company. That's it for today. I hope you saw some interesting ideas, maybe usage patterns, maybe insights, how you can apply Fibery in your company. So, thank you for spending more than half an hour in this video. Bye bye.